why do you want to have a Muslim ban? Why do you want to limit immigration? Why do you want to strengthen the borders? Why do you want to make America great again? You want to ensure white dominance. How do you think that happens?
I mean, we're speaking in the very early aftermath of a election, and the one that has really consumed so much oxygen this year. Here was this separate conversation of people on the streets trying to force people to have, which is that this whole illusion about what not only the United States, but a lot of Western democracies are, is a lie if there is no space in this conversation for what is happening in Gaza.
I think because of the way that the U.S. as empire is obscured, right? And the U.S. as colony, a settler colony, is obscured. There was a tendency to split what's happening in Palestine versus what's happening in the United States. There was an expectation that what genocide can continue in Palestine and the U.S. can continue on its own trajectory as if it was not related to this geography, right? There was this almost blinders that continued, that the U.S. can continue to be as rich as it is, right? There's jobs here. That's why people come here. There's jobs here. Like you're going to get vaccinated here first and so on and so forth. How come? Why? And not making the connection of the U.S. as empire as extractive, right? It's that obfuscation that happens where we can continue to feed ourselves the myth that the U.S. can develop on its own without relationship to what it's doing abroad in order to enrich itself, right? And so that became with our allies, it became an incredibly difficult place. Like you just can't have that conversation with liberals, period, right? Period, because there isn't an analysis there. There isn't. But even with our progressive allies who do have an understanding of that relationship, but who couldn't see with us that whatever is happening in the United States is a reflection of what it's doing abroad. In order to understand, for example, U.S. police violence and its militarization, you can't understand that without understanding the U.S. in the Philippines, right? And the U.S. in Puerto Rico, and then the U.S. in Vietnam, right? And the U.S. in Korea. You're not gonna understand white supremacy and violence here if you don't understand what's happening in Palestine, that there is being nurtured a supremacist movement of a racialized minority, like Jews as a racialized minority, who are seeking the mantle of having their own state where they govern it and are able to engineer a population where they get to be the majority by any means necessary and obfuscate a settler reality, right? And say that this is in the name of our sovereignty, right? And then critique us, that if we said anything about Zionism, then suddenly that was an attack on Jewish people. How do you expect to defend that position and not have white people in the United States not echo that same sentiment? Like Richard Spencer, who says that Israel is the future of European sovereignty.
Yeah, he astutely described it as a white ethno-national state, which is, I think was...
But that's what everybody's saying. Like, why do you want to have a Muslim ban? Why do you want to limit immigration? Why do you want to strengthen the borders? Why do you want to make America great again? You want to ensure white dominance. How do you think that happens? How do you think that wasn't going to happen when the entire liberal strata was normalizing that position and saying that it was in the name of human rights, and then mobilizing police, media, cultural institutions, universities, government, all to protect that position, and still expect that we were somehow gonna continue? It just, the expectation that you can separate what we would call the metropole of an empire from its colonial periphery and what happens there is unfounded, short-sighted, and has brought us to this moment where we can't even properly diagnose what the problem is. And people want to point fingers at, but who did you vote for? And how could we have stopped it? The only way to properly stop this is to actually take responsibility, to account for our imperial privilege, and to stop it, and to end it. There was only one way that we're going to begin to account. And the only way to for people to understand Palestine is also for us to understand that we have to be continuously in struggle against anti-Blackness and continuously in struggle against settler expansion on these lands, which is ongoing every single day. So that's a message to my own siblings, right? My Palestinian siblings, my Arab American siblings, that it's not just the shortcomings of others who can't see us, but our failure to be able to identify where we are and how we're participating in a project that's imperial and that's racist will also be insufficient. There's no nationalist road to Palestinian liberation. It has to be an anti-imperialist position that we take that leads us to our liberation. And it happens every day, and not only what we're doing and how we, protest how our taxes are used and what's done in our name and how the veto is used, but also what's happening in our daily lives around us.